introduce you in a minute, Gail. But amongst we've had Dale as well, who's actually been one of our speakers. So you may wish to check her out as well. So she talks about trademarks, and that was a really brilliant session that we had with you. So that's on if you follow that link, then you'll be able to look her up and just follow what she said. So yes, so we'll move on, and on now to Gail, our speaker. Thank you so much for coming this evening. We're really excited to hear you speak, and we're really intrigued about what we need these pieces of paper and coloured pens for as well. We've all got them, so we're all ready.
Great stuff.
So I'm going to introduce you, and so Gail Edwards, she is a global impact and personal brand strategist, and she's a founder of Brand New Consultancy Limited, where she blends the spiritual gifts with the spiritual gifts of over 30 years experience in marketing, branding, communications, training and coaching. She is also the co-author of the international #1 bestseller, The Law of Brand Attraction, published last year in May. So this evening, she'll be showing you how to be more dynamic on and offline, and will be talking to us about why our voice matters in our business. So could you please help me to give a very warm welcome to Gail Edwards. Stage is yours.
Thank you very, very much, Katerina. Can I just warn you before I get started, my internet is very glitchy these days, as is most people's. So if I do happen to drop off, I will come back, okay? But yeah, we will get started. And Dale, I think we had a conversation last year, didn't we, around trademarks? I'm sure we did.
Highly likely.
Yeah, I thought we did. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Was it Laura Lauder that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, gosh, what a small world, and what a great introduction to what I'm going to be speaking about actually this evening, because our brand really matters, and it matters now more than at any time previously, because the world is smaller. We don't know who we're bumping into, and those of you that are on Clubhouse will already have noticed just how much your voice matters on Clubhouse, because on Clubhouse your currency is impact. So how do you make your voice have more impact, which translates into your business having more impact? So that's what I really want to speak to you about today, and I'm going to give you a little exercise to do, hence the pieces of paper and the coloured pens as well. But before we go through that, I just want to give you some context about who I am and why I do what I do and why it's so important to me. So as you know, I'm Gail Edwards, and I'm a personal brand and global impact strategist. And I didn't get here overnight. I've been running my own business for 21 years. So that's a long time just being an entrepreneur. But before that, I had over 15 years experience in the corporate world working in media. I worked for the BBC, I worked for Channel 4, Sky TV, dare I say it, the Daily Express and the Daily Mail, not my finest moments, but you know, a job's a job, and that's my personal opinion, obviously. But I have done lots of stuff in and around the media and PR, branding and marketing space. And when I became an entrepreneur just over 20 years ago, and I decided to set up my business, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to work for myself, because it was something that had been part of who I am for a long time, ever since I was a child. But there was nobody else entrepreneurial within my family. So I didn't have a role model that I could turn to. Plus, I also didn't learn to, but still I didn't learn to speak. I didn't speak until I had already started school. So I started school at 4 years old and not really being able to speak. I didn't start speaking until I was near 5. And I'm an only child, and my parents were always working. I'm first generation Black British, and my parents were from the Caribbean. My mum's from Barbados, my dad was from Jamaica, God rest his soul. But so they worked really, really hard. And I spent a lot of time on my own, in terms either on my own as a child, because I was an only child, as I said, or with relatives who had lots of children, and because I was so quiet, I was kind of forgotten about. So I spent a lot of my early years fairly quiet. So you can imagine then going into a school environment, which is quite busy and noisy for a child that doesn't talk. It was quite overwhelming. But I found my solace in books, and with books come words. And I just loved words, even though I wasn't speaking them. I loved them. And I can remember there's one word, even to this day, I'm 55 now, and this word still makes me laugh whenever I see it, you know, and it's the word determined. And the reason why it makes me laugh is because when I was learning to read, and I was a free reader by the time I was 6.5, I was a free reader. So which means in those days I'd gone through all the Janet and John books and, you know, all the Ladybird books. So I was able to choose whatever I wanted. And there was one word that as a free reader that I used to come across all the time, and I always pronounced it as determined. Right, it was always, even to this day when I look at it, my first thought is determined, right? And of course it was determined, and I didn't realize that until later. But that word became really important to me because it was, even though it made no sense to me, it showed up in the context of somebody. Whenever that word showed up, it showed up in the context of somebody who was really committed to doing something. You know, they were prepared to just be consistent as well. They were really targeting whatever their outcome was. So that word became quite synonymous to me, determined. You know, it's just because I'm determined, Mum. So when I started to talk, you know, that was one of the words that I used to say, determined, and then I was told, well, actually it's determined. But the reason why I say that is because from very young, I made that connection with the words and the actions. And that's why words are so important to me now when I work with my clients. You know, I work with them to discover exactly what their soul essence really is. Because especially now where we're all being forced to, number one, really show up online. We've got to be authentic online. If you're on Clubhouse, you are in a very competitive space. You know, as coaches and consultants and trainers and mentors, this in itself is a very competitive space. And when people are making decisions, how are they making their decision? Because you don't want to compete on price. So if I'm choosing a business coach to take my business to the next level, I want to know what's the difference between Katerina as a business coach who's going to come to me with all of her wealth of experience and expertise and her skill. And let's say, for example, someone like Maria, who's also going to come to me with all of her experience and expertise and skill. What's going to be the difference if it's not going to be price? And the difference is you. That is the only difference. Because we can all add value, because that's who we are. We're servant leaders. That's what we do. We add value. We show up, we serve, we give. That's just what we do. But the difference that makes the difference is ourselves. And we find that difference within how we speak about ourselves, how we articulate exactly what it is that we do. And I spend a lot of time on Clubhouse because I use it, it's part of my marketing strategy now for 2021. So I use it very intentionally. And I'm listening for what people are saying and how they are presenting themselves. You know, these mini presentations that people do when they go on stage and they ask, you know, can you just tell us a little bit about what you do and then ask your question? I'm listening to what they're saying when they introduce themselves, because that's the difference. The bio is great and it gives us a chance to take it a little bit further, but it's that little 30 seconds that makes the difference. And it's that 30 seconds that we're going to work on today. Okay. So we're going to do a process that I call standing up in your own hallelujah. So before we go into that process, what I'd like to do is ask you, do you have any questions or concerns or anything that's particularly challenging you about your own message? Because this will be a great time to work through it. So please feel free to unmute yourself and ask me any question, and we'll deal with that, and then we'll go on to the activity. Any questions? Let's just have a look. Oh, that's better. That's better. Now I can see everybody. Right. So no one's got any questions.
Well,
Right.
I was just going to make a
Almira!
hello there. How are you?
Oh, I haven't seen you for ages.
Correct. Not for a very long time. When you're doing that Athena in Harrow. As I mentioned before you came on, I'm sort of in the process right now of reconnecting with all clients and sort of rediscovering things. I was in the process of rebranding and sort of reshaping my business just as COVID hit, and everything just kind of went a bit haywire. So I am not sure what that something is.
Oh, fantastic!
You mentioned that. So if we can do something with that tonight, that would be really, really fabulous. Really.
Oh, that's my ideal situation.
Oh, I've got. I'm going to ideal to work on.
That's my ideal situation. Come on, I feel like I planted you here, Almira. Thank you for that. So, what we're going to do, this process, which I call standing up in your own hallelujah. And I called it standing up in your own hallelujah because I was brought up in the church and I hated it. I really hated it as a youngster because my mother, as I said, my parents were always working. So they sent me with my aunt, and my aunt was such a dedicated, Pentecostal Christian. Nothing wrong with that, of course. But when you're 6, you don't want to be in church all day when your friends are playing outside. You just don't. And I hated it. Apart from one point, there was one point in the church service that I absolutely loved. And if any of you have ever been to a Pentecostal church, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And it was at the point in the service where literally everybody would just go wild, right? And they used to call it catching the spirit. Someone's got the spirit, they're speaking in tongues, and there's lots of hallelujahs. But the great thing about that, it was a bit frightening at first and kind of like, what on earth? But it was that look of absolute peace that came over them afterwards. When they had calmed down, there was such a peace and such a joy, a real just joy. It's like all their features changed. And, the only thing you can hear them saying in the quiet, because by this time everyone had quietened down, and the only thing you can hear them saying is hallelujah, hallelujah, amen, hallelujah. And that has always stayed with me. And that's the point that I take my clients to when they get that hallelujah moment, that quiet knowing where they know this is who I am and this is what I want to bring. So that's what we're going to do now, okay? So I'm going to ask you to basically play with me for the next half an hour or so, okay? So you've got your 4 sheets of paper and you've got your 2 pens. And this is going to be a timed exercise. And I've got my timer here in front of me on my phone. Let me just make sure. Here we go. Brilliant. This is going to be a timed exercise. So the first part of this exercise, I want you all to take your first sheet of paper. And on that sheet of paper, I want you to write the word characteristics. Okay. Now, characteristics are anything about your character that you possess. So this can be anything along the lines of, you may think you're really funny. That's a characteristic, funny. Intelligent. It could be that you're quiet. It could be, it's anything, any characteristic or attribute that you have, okay? Or it can be any characteristic or attribute that you wish you had more of even, all right? So it could be confidence. I wish I was more confident. I wish I was brave, So I'm going to give you 1 minute and I want you to write down as many characteristics about yourself as you can on that sheet of paper in 1 minute, and your time starts now. Over halfway, 30 seconds left. Ten seconds left. Just write them down, write them down. Time's up. Right, great stuff. Now on the second sheet of paper, I want you to write the words roles and labels. And this is where your imagination really starts to play, okay? So your roles and labels are literally any role or label that you identify with, whether it be coach, trainer, dragon slayer, fire starter, it doesn't matter, okay? Let your imagination take over, you know, tune in and let it take over, because this is, and also, before I say that, also, even things like mother, sister, brother, uncle, they're all part of your roles and labels. So if you identify with those closely, write those down as well. But the time has started. But like I said, let your imagination run wild. Think about what is it that you, no, that's going to give away the other part. So I won't say anymore. 25 seconds left. And time's up. Great stuff. Now on your third sheet, this is slightly different. So on your third sheet of paper, what you're writing down here is, what do I think I do? So this is, what do you think you do? What is it you think you do? You don't have to write in complete sentences, all right? Just write down, because no one's going to see this but you. As long as you understand your writing, that's fine. But what is it you think you do? And time started. So think about it. Some people are like, I provide coaching solutions. Again, let your imagination run wild. But what is it you think you do? And time's up. Oh, wow, that was quick. That was loud. So the very last one now. What do others say you do? So this is the stuff that you find in your testimonials. What do others say you do? This is where people say, oh, you changed my life. You know, what do others say that you do? Again, no complete sentences. 5 seconds left. Great stuff. Great stuff. Right. So you've now got 4 sheets of paper with loads of words on. Loads of words. So what we're going to do, this is what I call the quick fire round. So this is where you use your other colour pen. Okay. This is your quick fire round. There's no thinking involved in this. This is literally 1, 2, and then we move on. Okay. So you've got to move quick. So on that first sheet of paper, the characteristics, I want you to circle the 2 characteristics that resonate with you the most. Just 2. Which are the 2? 1, 2. Brilliant. Now we're moving on to the next sheet, which is the roles and labels. What are the 2 roles and labels that you have there? Circle those. Which are the 2 out of all the ones you've written down that you think, yep, get that. That resonates with me. Brilliant. And now on to the third one. The third one is, what is it you think you do? What is the one thing? So only one, you're only circling one. What is the one thing that you think, yes, that's the one, that's what I do? And then on the last one, again, you're just choosing one. What do others say you do? Okay, brilliant. So before we go on to form your hallelujah statement, let me just give you a little idea as to what a hallelujah statement is and, you know, and why it's so useful. So, you know, sometimes, and Mary, this will probably be your worst nightmare question at the moment, like because of where you are in your business. But it's that question when people ask you, what do you do? Oh, hi, Almira, what do you do? You know, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, and you want to get as much out as possible because you want people to know exactly what it is that you do. And you know, and you'll say, oh, you know, and I'm a personal brand strategist and I help people with their messaging, but I also do business growth. And one of the things I really like to do is I like to contribute to the human economy. But in doing that, what I've noticed is some people really need help with their branding, which is not the same as their brand. And I can do that as well because I used to work in branding. But, you know, it's also about how they promote themselves because I used to also work in PR. And it's just like, it's all too much. And that's when you give people networkers neck. You know, and we see it even right though we're not out networking. When we were out networking virtually, you'd see people doing this because they're looking for someone else to talk to, okay, because you've bored them. And on Zoom, they do this. And then they turn their camera off. So we don't want to do that. Oh, Peter's just turned his camera back on. You know, and we don't want to do that. So the answer to that question, what it is that you do, is not your hallelujah statement, but it is informed by your hallelujah statement. And I'll give you an example. So and your hallelujah statement is your stake in the ground. If you think of a tree has roots, okay? And that's your hallelujah statement, is its roots. And what that does, it gives you that grounding. So we all, you know, we're all entrepreneurs and business owners, and we all go through that period of self-doubt. We all go through that transition. We were perhaps rebranding, even like Almira's just talking about, or we just go through that, I don't know what the hell I'm doing today. And your hallelujah statement kind of grounds you back into who you are and what you do. So for example, my hallelujah statement is that I am powerful. That's it. Is that I'm a powerful and intuitive entrepreneur who provides transformational solutions for people who like to heal others, teach others, but also learn from others. And that's my hallelujah statement. And it's a really great filter because not only does it keep me grounded in terms of what it is that I do, It also makes me able to assess opportunities really, really quickly. It helps me to be able to say yes or no. So last year, for example, when I co-wrote this book, The Law of Brand Attraction, I wasn't even in the room when they were discussing that. I wasn't even in the room, but my personal brand is quite strong. So those that were in the room, they came to me and said, oh my gosh, Gail, this book, we've decided we're going to do this book. We really want you to be involved. You know, if you want to, we have to move really quickly. And I said, well, what's the book about? Well, you know, everyone's in lockdown. We're all going through this period at the moment where we're actually doing quite well. We're quite busy, but there's so many entrepreneurs that aren't. So we want to be able to offer them hope and guide them through this process where they can, you know, we share our story with them. We also share our contact details. They can connect with us, and then we can help them. And I thought, brilliant. Quick run through my filter. Powerful and intuitive entrepreneur. Well, yeah, that means I can actually get involved with the books. I'm not tied down to brand strategy. Who provides creative solutions? Well, yes, I'll just make my story quite creative within the book. For people who like to help, teach, and learn. Yeah, that's a yes from me. Really quick filter. And it's the same when I get asked to do anything now. I just run it through that filter really quickly. However, when people ask me what I do, that is not how I answer. You know, and they say, so Gail, yeah, no, I'm powerful, and it knows. That's not it, but it informs. And you have, so the answer to what it is that you do is your impact statement. And your impact statement, you can have more than one impact statement, because your impact statement is a bit like the branches and the leaves on the tree, whereas your hallelujah is the roots, it's the grounding. And you have more than one impact statement based on where you are and who you're speaking to. So my answer sometimes is I help people to discover their profits and their voice through their personal brand. Sometimes it's I help square pegs to find their square holes, because the people I work with are people who don't quite fit. You know, they don't want to do the same thing as everybody else. They want to blaze their own trail. They're game changers. You know, they're the people that I work best with. So your impact statement's slightly different, but you cannot create your impact statement without being really clear on who you are, what you do, and how you do it, and who you do it for, what the impact of what you do. So let's get creating some hallelujah statements. So what I want you to do, this is how you're going to create your hallelujah statement. I want you to write down the words, I am. And then I want you to write the 2 characteristics that you circled. I want you to write those down. So if you chose, in my case, powerful and intuitive, then you would write down, I am a powerful and intuitive. Okay. So write down the 2. And then I am a powerful, intuitive what? Write down the 2 roles and labels that you chose. Okay. And then, so you've got I am a characteristics. Then you've got your roles and labels. And then you've got who, or whichever word fits best, depending on what you chose for number 3. So number 3 was, what is it you think you do? Now, when you're building your personal brand, your identity is really important. But even more important, as I said before, is your currency, which is your impact. And that answer to number 3 is your impact. And then finally, write down the statement, or write down what you wrote for what do others say you do. Okay, so you're going to end up with something that sounds like this. Almira, are you willing to play?
I'm willing to, oh, what have I done?
you go.
I wasn't intending to hide. I was trying to turn my microphone on.
Great stuff. So, are you willing to play, Almira?
Yeah, I'm willing to play.
Great stuff. So we're
Because
going to.
that's the first characteristic on my thing is I am a playful.
Fantastic. So we're gonna play with Almira's statement so you can see how you can build yours. So what were your characteristics, Almira?
Playful and competent.
Okay. Whoa, almost knocked my phone over there. Playful and confident.
Competent. Yes, competent.
Okay, and what were your roles and labels?
Alchemist and wise woman.
And what is it you think you do?
Cause transformation.
You cause transformation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what is it others say you do?
You changed my life.
Okay. Brilliant. So let's just remember that we are doing this as part of a group exercise. When I work with you one-to-one, it's a little bit more intense than this, I must be honest, but you're going to get the gist and still end up with something that you can use. So what you've actually said here to me, Almira, is that you are a playful and competent alchemist and wise woman who causes transformation and changes people's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah? Great. So let's play with this a little bit, seeing as you're playful.
Yep.
So you are playful and competent alchemist and wise woman.
Yeah.
Okay. Who do you cause this transformation for? So you say you cause transformation. Transformation for who?
Mostly I work with women, and the transformation I cause is really to empower them to step into leadership. Whether that's leading in a team in a business or whether that's leading their own business. And, and changing, and leading change, yeah. As I said earlier, before you arrived, if I could empower a woman in business and technology, we could really effect enormous change in this world for the good.
Right, so now you've gone on to step 2.
Oh, have I? Okay, well, yeah.
No, but that's good, because remember I said your currency is your impact, and you've got to know why it's important to you, and what is the legacy of that impact. So a lot of people talk about creating legacy and leaving legacy and all of that, and that's great, nothing wrong with that, but the real legacy that is long lasting is the legacy of your impact, the ripple effect.
Yeah.
So if you know
what I just said, my impact, really. Right. Okay.
So, but that's okay, because you're going to need that, because with your hallelujah statement sets your identity. And it's really around who do you need to be in order to deliver your vision. Okay. And your vision is linked to your impact. So you said that if you can empower women in business and technology, then you've got great change. But why? Why is it so important for women to be empowered around business and technology?
I think because they are the two most powerful forces for change in the world, and because we women still live in a world designed by men for men, and in order for us, all of us human beings to live in a world that works for everybody, that needs to shift. And it needs to shift towards a kind of a partnership model rather than a dominating one. And that's sort of the bigger picture. So if I can empower women in business and technology, two big forces for change, and women themselves have that sort of more conscious, compassionate leadership, then I think we can start to effect that kind of change in the world. Because each woman can then do it in her little corner of the world. And that little corner of the world sort of begins to merge with other little corners of the world, and it ripples out.
And that is such a beautiful vision. It's a big vision. It aligns with the UN global goals, especially global
Yes,
goals.
global goal for gender equality, mostly, yes.
Absolutely.
But,
So
but all of the others, you see, I reckon that if we could do this, then a lot of these other big problems that we have that are all part of UN goals would disappear as well.
have you got, so you said that you were in transition. What are you transitioning? Because if I remember rightly, when I was in Athena, you were doing this then. So where do you transition?
Well, no, I have been doing this, but I have been doing this all along. I've been sort of coaching and empowering women for sort of quite a number of years now. That's always been, I think this has always been the focus. It's taken kind of different like version 1 and version 2 and version 2.2.
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? And I've just kind of reached in the last while, I've kind of lost touch with my clients' needs because I've sort of stepped back from things. In this past year, my husband's had a lot of illness, and I thought I'll just sort of just take it easy and only do a little bit rather than my usual. And now he's better and I'm rearing to go again.
Okay.
But as I say, I just still feel that I'm not quite in tune, even though that is what I want to do. I'm not necessarily in tune with what it is that I can deliver to women right now that would make a big difference in their lives.
Oh, you've just said it. You just said, but let's go through it so that you can see it. Okay. So I want to feel it.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to say to you from what you've said to me, Almira, what you've said to me, and I suggest you are recording it. Oh, fantastic, because you're going to need to listen back to the recording.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Because I won't remember. I can tell you now, I won't remember what I said.
I won't remember what I said either. Exactly.
I won't remember. So, but what I'm going to say to you is I want you to write this down.
Yeah.
Okay. I am a playful and competent, wise woman alchemist. Okay. Wise woman alchemist who empowers women through business and technology to step into leadership and lead transformational change within their communities.
Wow. That excites me.
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a hallelujah moment?
Now this is Gail. This is the hallelujah statement. Can I just say it back?
Absolutely.
Because
I want you to say it back, and it's really important when you do this, all of you, that you actually either record yourself or you say it to someone, or you just say it out loud. Because when you say it out loud, listen to what you're going to hear. So say it, Almira.
Okay, I am a playful and competent wise woman alchemist who empowers women through business and technology to step into leadership and lead transformative change within their communities.
Beautiful. Now, normally,
yeah.
How does that feel, Almira, when you say that?
It feels good. It feels grounded.
It does, and I can hear it, because normally, when you start to talk it through, you can feel the resistance. You feel the words that don't feel right. You know when you've got a debtor-minded, versus a determined. You do. You feel that difference, and this is what's so beautiful about this, Almira, because I have some clients where it takes them 3 or 4 sessions to get to their hallelujah statement because they are so stuck, or they're so very much in their heads. But you've been able to do that very, very quickly, which shows me and tells me that this was always just at the surface. I've been talking. Needed it tweaking.
Yeah, I've been talking about empowering women through business and technology for probably the best part of 10 or 12 years. But, you know, just somehow, you know, sort of, well, do I do it this way, do it that, do I do it this way, do I do it that way, do I do it this way, do I do it that way? There has always been a certain, I don't know, a certain uncertainty, or a little bit of confusion around it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Well, we haven't finished yet.
Oh, okay.
No.
Aren't you glad I'm a guinea pig, folks?
Yeah, we haven't finished quite yet. So there's three things that have come out of this exercise. The first one that you've got, Almira, is the clarity around your messaging.
Yeah.
Okay. But the other thing you've got is also the clarity around who you are and what it is that you do. So remember what I said about networkers' net. You don't want to just, you know, all over people. You want to have a conversation. And we're very good at communicating. If you think about a triangle at the bottom, you know, that's our communication, that's our broadcasting, you know, where we can just say what we've got to say. And normally in a business situation or in a networking situation, what happens is we expect to get to the top of this triangle, which is the conversion. This is where we have the relationship. This is where we have the sale. But we forget about the bit in the middle. And the bit in the middle is the connection. And the connection comes through conversation. So you want to invite people to speak to you. So when people say to you, what is it that you do? That's the invitation to have a conversation. That's not a, you know, now I'm asking you to vomit all over me. That's not the one. It's about conversation. And conversation is two-way. And the best way to have a two-way conversation is to create interest. So for you, Almira, what you've now got there is you've got a really great conversation piece. So when people ask you what you do, you can actually respond and say, well, actually, I'm known as the wise woman alchemist. What do you think the next question is going to be?
What the hell does that mean?
Exactly. Which now gives you an opportunity to explain exactly what that means. You know, so when people, and do that, get used to having the pause. So you're waiting for the question, you're inviting them to ask you another question. Oh, I'm Almira Ross and I'm known as that wise woman alchemist. Oh, that's interesting. What on earth is that? Well, actually, what I do is I help to empower women, you know, into leadership. I help to empower women through business and technology. I'm all about showing women how to lead through change. I'm about aligning my business and aligning women with the UN global goals. Oh, what on earth are they? Well, the UN has these 15 global goals, and one of them is actually around women and gender equality. And that's what I'm doing. You can see how this conversation starts to flow.
Yeah.
Invite conversation.
Yeah.
Because the more you can connect with people, the more chance they've got of buying into that know, like, and trust factor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
thank you.
So not only have you got your hallelujah statement, you've also got an impact statement. You've got several there actually, but you've also got something that, funny enough, I'm not a big fan of, but they do work, and that's a fame name. Okay, wise woman. Yeah, fame name. You know, wise woman alchemist. You know, it's nice and easy. It's nice and easy. Yeah. All right. Now, for the other thing that you've all got, whether you use the words on your hallelujah statement or not, is that every single one of those words on your bits of paper, you chose those, and you chose them for a reason, and you chose them because they make up part of who you are. That is your power vocabulary. That's your power library. Now, your hallelujah statement is not a script. It's not something you learn off by heart. It's something you feel and something that you are. But these words, all of these words that contribute towards your power library, they're the same. You know them, they're part of who you are, and they should be showing up in your copy, you know, your bios, when you're doing a speech. And this is what makes it really easy when you look at personal branding from this perspective. It makes it really, really easy to be able to write stuff when you think, well, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what to write. Make sure that you've got it here in your power vocabulary. Make sure they're the words that you use time and time again, because they help to build your brand. They help you to become memorable to other people. The more they hear you, the more they see them. Oh gosh, yeah. Oh yeah, I remember her. She talks about standing up in your own hallelujah. I get that all the time. Oh yeah, you're the hallelujah woman. Yeah. That's right. I am. That's me. So, you know, it's just about being memorable, because, you know, we've got more people online doing what you do now than ever before. And there are people who literally, I was speaking to a woman today, and she pivoted her business last year. She's been running a ski centre for the past 20 odd years, became a business coach last August, became an accredited fully. So she pivoted, doing an amazing job. And there's lots of people like that have now entered your market that you've been in for years and years. They've now entered, and they are becoming experts because they know how to speak about themselves. They know how to use their voice. Yeah. So we've got a little bit of time. Does anybody else want to have a go with their hallelujah statement? Apart from you, Woon.
Before we do that, thank you very much, Gail. This has been really, really very useful. Much appreciated.
You're very welcome, Almira. I'm glad I was able to help.
Anybody else? Perfect opportunity to help you. You'll get this over and done within a few minutes, rather than it might take you a lot longer if you have to do this by yourself. So be brave. Yes.
Peter's coming forward. Hello, Peter.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, to be honest, I'm a bit confused and not too impressed with what I've got, to be honest. So I thought I've obviously made some mistakes along the way. So
never mistakes. So tell me what you've got. What are your characteristics, Peter?
My characteristics are friend, trust, punctual, trustworthy, dependable, and fun-loving.
Okay, which were the two that you chose?
Punctual and trustworthy.
Punctual and trustworthy. Okay. And which two roles and labels did you choose?
Trustee, coach.
Cool. And what is it you think you do?
Facilitator.
And what do others say you do?
Coach.
Okay. So I can definitely see where the blockage is. Okay. So I'm going to just ask you a few questions. Okay. Who's your audience? Who are your customers?
CEOs and business owners.
So you work with CEOs and business owners, and you say that you're a facilitator. What are you facilitating?
A community of up to 10 CEOs and up to 10 business owners in two separate groups.
And when you say a community, is it a mastermind?
Yeah, it's similar to a mastermind. Yeah, it's the Academy of Business Leaders and Entrepreneurs. It's a mastermind group of
non-great stuff.
CEOs and business owners.
And what's the aim of this organisation?
The essential aim is, where it's a little corny, is that I help to alleviate the loneliness and isolation that CEOs and business owners suffer.
Perfect. It's perfect. Okay, and what do others say about you?
That I do what I say I do.
Okay. So as somebody who provides a mastermind community that helps people, that brings people together, okay, they would expect someone to be trustworthy. That's a really great quality to have. because in the community, you want to know that you're holding people's trust. Now, you also had some other words in there. You had punctual. We'll go back to your characteristics. So we had punctual, you had friend, you had trust. Did you have any other words?
So look, organizer, supporter, sage, guide, entrepreneur, mentor.
Right, perfect. So, oh, that's the word I was looking for. Great stuff. So, think about what it is that you do and what you're providing, all right? And when you're speaking to people, you want them to feel that you are absolutely the perfect person to help them to both build and access community that's going to support them, that's going to help them grow, and that's going to really provide what they currently don't have. Okay. And you're coming to that not just as an organizer, but as someone who has extensive experience and expertise and credibility within this field. Yeah.
Okay.
So what I want you to do is I want you to write this down. Is I am a supportive. No, forget that. Sorry, not supportive. I'm an organized and trustworthy. That's the word. I'm an organized and trustworthy business mentor and guide who provides isolated and lonely CEOs and business owners with a supportive, and I can't remember the words, there's a word I'm thinking of around growth focus, with a supportive and growth focused community that helps them to be I'm going to go with the word success for now. I think we're going to change it, but let's go with success. Because how long are they in your community for, Peter?
Well, the current longest one is 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
but the average is 4 to 4.5 years.
Right. And what do they get? What do they get? So they say that you coach them, but what do they actually get? Why are they staying so long?
Because they are if I use a phrase that I use to describe what I do, is that I facilitate a community of purpose-centered entrepreneurs that want to make a difference and create a legacy.
Right, there you go. And that's it. So they're not just CEOs and business owners, they're purpose-driven CEOs and entrepreneurs. And
purpose-centered rather than purpose-driven, purpose-centered.
Purpose-centered. Well, if they're purpose-centered, then let's call them that. Okay. And this is why when you get into getting really clear about the wording that's being used. Okay. So what you're doing is that you are providing a community for purpose-centered CEOs and business owners. Now, what is the benefit of these purpose-centered business owners and CEOs all being in the same place or all being part of the same community? What's the benefit of that?
Well, it enables them to make change, because we've been talking earlier on about the UN goals for change, that I'm the same as that and they are, but it's about making a change and creating a legacy. And it follows on from what I've done. I mean, essentially, I started this by creating a legacy for Joshua Liner Foundation following the loss of my grandson. And that the legacy that I'm creating is not just me, it's Joshua's legacy that when I plug, it will continue on. So all of them,
Your message.
but all of them have followed suit. That they've got a similar legacy, and therefore they want to create a change to create that legacy.
So what you're actually doing, what you're doing with the purpose-centered CEOs and business owners is that you're providing them with an ecosystem that encourages and empowers them, okay, or in your word, that facilitates their building of impactful legacies.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's put it together. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's put it together. So I told you I'm not going to remember what I said. Let me just see if it's, where is it?
Well, if I read it back to you, is that I am an organised and trustworthy business mentor and guide that provides isolated and lonely CEOs with a growth-focused community that helps them to be successful.
No, that's not it.
Okay.
That's not it. That's not it.
I agree.
Yeah, that's not it. Okay, so because you're more than you're letting on, Peter. Okay, there is more to you than meets the eye. You are much more than you're letting on. So you're working with purpose-centered CEOs because you yourself are purpose-centered. Okay, yeah. You are what we would call an impact entrepreneur, and you can't hide from that. So yes, you're working with purpose-centered, but you have to step into your identity. Now, which one feels right? Try it on. Do you feel like you're a purpose-centered business mentor, or do you feel as if you're a purpose-centered impact mentor? Which one, or impact coach even? Which one feels better for you?
Purpose-centered impact coach. Right,
perfect. So that's what you are. You're a purpose-centered impact coach. Okay.
Okay.
You're trustworthy. People can trust you because you've built that trust. You've been running this organization for a long time. You've got your own foundation, which you have also aligned to this organization, and you're helping others to do the same. So trustworthy is a really, really strong word for you.
Mm-hmm.
But you're also organized, because you have to be organized in order to do what you do, to be able to run this community for the length that you've got to be organized.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an organized and trustworthy, purpose-centered impact coach.
Okay.
Okay. And what you do is that you facilitate a growth community for isolated, purpose-centered CEOs and business owners that empowers them to create impactful and purposeful legacy.
Wow. Right, let me just read that back then.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I am an organised, trustworthy, purpose-centred impact coach that facilitates a growth community for isolated and purpose-centred CEOs that empowers them to create impactful and purposeful legacy. The middle of that didn't fit right.
Yeah, so yeah, we just had a few too many that's and ands in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we had a few of those. We had a lot of debtor-minds in there. So yeah.
It needs a bit more work, but
Needs a
I'm
little-
conscious that I'm taking up everyone's time. I don't wish to hog everyone's time.
let's not be conscious of that. Okay, let's choose to focus on something else.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
I like you.
Yeah, oh, bless you. Right. So when you say that, purpose-centered impact coach, okay?
Yeah.
So when you say that you are an organized and trustworthy purpose-centered impact coach, where are you feeling that? How's that feeling?
That feels good. Yeah.
Okay.
That I think sums it up. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's also the answer to the question when people say, what is it that you do? I'm a purpose-centered impact coach. Oh, great. What's that? Sounds interesting. Okay. Now let's do the other part of that. So I'm a purpose-centered impact coach who, and what's the rest of that sentence?
Who facilitates a growth community for isolated and purpose-centered CEOs that empowers them
Right.
create.
There's the blockage. Right. So you I'm not sure about that word facilitates yet, but we'll come back to that. But so you facilitate a growth community for isolated purpose-centered.
Could I suggest rather, because I'm saying facilitate too often as well, is that can we change facilitate that leads a growth community?
There you go. Absolutely. That leads a growth community. Beautiful. And this is how it works. For those of you that aren't going through it one-to-one like this, when you go through yours, this is exactly the same process. Think about where you feel. Don't think about the words in terms of what's grammatically correct. Think about how does it feel when you say the word. Because my superpower is I don't know how I do it, but I can identify where the energy is stuck. But you're the one that's feeling where it's stuck.
Yeah.
Okay. So you will be able to think, oh, that doesn't sit right with me. So I could feel that facilitate is stuck. I said, I'm not sure about facilitate. And Peter knew it was stuck and he came up with his own alternative word, which is lead, which is great. Who leads a growth community. Brilliant. Brilliant. So now that you've put lead in, where are we going after that? So who leads?
Right. Who leads a growth community for isolated and purpose-centered CEOs that empowers them to create impactful and purposeful legacy.
Right. So instead of that, now remember, this is not a script. You don't have to learn this word for word, but you do have to feel it word for word. Okay. So that leads a community for isolated CEOs and business owners, empowering them. So you don't have to have the fact that they're empowering them.
Empowering them, yeah. Well, can I just make another suggestion? When we're saying isolated and purpose-centered CEOs and business owners, why can't we change CEOs and business owners to entrepreneurs, which is what they all are?
Can I interrupt a minute?
They're your people.
Can I interrupt a minute? Elmira's put something in the chat.
Right.
And I don't know if you want to read that. Who leads a growth community of purpose-centered CEOs to leave a lasting legacy? I don't know if
That's a great alternative.
Yeah.
I'm
I like that.
Really after my job.
Centered CEOs.
All right, I've got my own.
To leave a lasting legacy, right?
Yeah. And feel through it, Peter. You know, this is not set in stone. When you've got it, and it tends not to change very much. I mean, mine's been the same for about 10 years. You know, funny enough, I am in the process of changing it slightly, only because I've moved into more of an educational role now, because I'm doing more stuff with Genius U and with the impact test and all that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of moving more into an education. So I want to add that into my my Hallelujah statement. But really, aside from that, it doesn't tend to change much, you know, because you are who you are. Yeah. You know, as we know, you are who you are, and you don't make any excuse or apology for that. That's just who we are. But the great thing about this is that when you come from this position of certainty, it's very easy to establish your credibility, so that when people hear you speaking, you speak from that position of absolute confidence, and they know, hi, I'm Peter Liner, and I am a purpose-centered impact coach. But what I do, or you can even say purpose-centered impact leader. And what I do is I coach and I lead and coach a community, you know, a growth community of purpose-centered CEOs, empowering them to leave a lasting legacy. You could say that.
But would it be better to drop CEOs and put in their entrepreneurs that would then cover business owners, CEOs, and everybody?
And only you can answer that question. Because absolutely, if it makes more sense to you, then yes, it does. Because what you're doing here is you're creating the flow from the inside. Other people will buy into it, but you're creating the flow from the inside. And that's why I have a little bit of an issue with marketeers when they say, when people say, oh, well, I don't know how to describe myself, or I don't know what I do. And they say, oh, go out and ask 5 people what it is they think of you. And I think, well, they're going to come from their perspective. Of course they are. Sure. Right. You, however, are the only one that really knows who you are. You just have to go through the process to get that out. And then you start operating at a vibrational level that attracts these very same purpose-centered entrepreneurs to you. Mm-hmm. Because they hear you. Yeah?
Yeah.
Thank you. Gosh.
Well, no, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The time has gone on. How are we doing time, Katerina?
We're doing fine. I was just going to say to Peter that next time we do the introductions, we want to hear that word for word. Okay. So get practicing and sound convincing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Hold me to it.
I will.
I can be accountable. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic, because, and it is about getting so comfortable with what you've created that you can use aspects of it, and that you can then start to use that to create your impact statements, which is the answer to those questions. What is it that you do? You know, we've already seen with Almira, she could say, oh, I'm Wise Woman Alchemist, that's what I do. And Peter, you could say the same thing, I'm a purpose-centered, you know, coach and leader. Or there's so many connotations that you can use, because it does invite conversation, and it invites that connection, more importantly. Yeah. Can I just ask a quick question? How many of you here are on Clubhouse? I know, Katerina, you are, but I haven't seen you use any rooms yet. Thank you. Dale, you're on Clubhouse, Dale. Fantastic.
Sorry.
And I know Woon is, because Woon and I co-host.
Yeah. I've been approached by 14 different people over the last week to go on to Clubhouse.
Okay. Now, aside from Woon, out of all of you that have raised your hand, Woon is the only one that I've actually seen on Clubhouse and co-modding rooms. He co-mods a room with me. Woon and I co-host the Entrepreneur Sushi Club podcast. So, you know, we actually have a room called the Entrepreneur Sushi Club as well. So can I ask a question? Out of those of you that are using Clubhouse, what is your strategy for Clubhouse?
For me, it's informing and educating, kind of like giving back.
So, Luca, is it you doing the informing and educating, or is it other people that are informing and educating you?
I'm doing the informing and educating.
Right. So you're running rooms already.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Anybody else?
Oh, Katerina. Finger this way. Never know, it goes off the thing. Yes, I'm educating as well, and I run a room with Julie Hogbin. You know Julie.
Yeah.
What room is that? What rooms are you guys running?
We're with the wealth dynamics, so we're educating people on that.
And I'm doing crypto for beginners.
You're doing crypto for nice. Now, the reason why I ask is because Clubhouse is like no other social media. Okay, you cannot use the same strategy that you use on other social medias with Clubhouse. You know, within Genius U, we talk about Entrepreneur 5.0. Well, you know, think of Clubhouse as social media 5.0. It's the same thing. It's that kind of animal. It accelerates at a rate that we've just not seen before. And it connects in a way that we've not seen before. And it provides you with the opportunity and exposure like we've never seen before. I've shared stages with some people over the past 8 weeks that sometimes I'm like, did I really just, because I can't quite believe it. And
how much time are you spending on it then?
Clubhouse is part of my marketing strategy. So when I'm on Clubhouse, I'm actually working. So I look at it like this. I joined Clubhouse on the 27th of December, and I'm a little bit of a geek. I don't tend to tell people that. I try to keep it secret. Right, but I am a little bit of a geek, and I do like to really delve into things quite deeply because I'm a very, very quick learner. So I like to delve in, you know, have a look around and think, okay, how is this going to work? And how does it fit in with, you know, with what I do? And how can I use it to help other people with what they do? And that was on 27th of December, which was a Sunday. And I don't know if you know, but every Sunday at 5 o'clock GMT, the Clubhouse owners have a town hall. And that's where they tell you, and you can only 5,000 people can get into that room. So you've got to be quick because it fills up really quickly. But what they do in that room is they tell you everything that's happening and everything that has happened. And they also answer questions as well. So you can submit your questions during the week and they'll answer the questions. And that first meeting that I attended, they said, so we've just opened the doors to the UK. Things are going really well. We now have nearly 1 million users. Now, remember, there's two things to remember about Clubhouse that are really important. Number one, it's only available to iPhone users. And number two, it's still in beta mode. So they're still being tested. They can at any time turn around and say, this isn't really working. You know, the test didn't work. We're not doing it anymore. I mean, it's quite unlikely now. But
they've just raised £3 million, though, haven't they?
They actually got, I think it was about 100 million not that long ago either. They've had a huge investment recently. So that was on the 27th of December. We've just hit 1 million users. So, you know, you may find that the platform is a little bit glitchy. 8 weeks later, on the 28th, they are nearly at 10 million. That is a growth of over 1 million per week. That's a lot of growth. And
exponential.
It is absolutely exponential, but that's also exponential opportunity, right? That's exponential opportunity for every single one of us because we are still testing and still iOS. So if you've got a really clear message and a compelling brand, this is the ideal opportunity to position yourself on that platform with real credibility and expertise. Partner with people who are already running rooms, become a really great moderator, you know, run your own rooms, talk about those people, those CEOs that are currently isolated, Peter, that are looking, they're on Clubhouse now because Clubhouse is giving them the community they're looking for. So what is it that you're going to bring to the market and give them that little bit extra that they're not going to be able to get in Clubhouse? Because eventually all those that aren't on there are going to be on there, and that's your market. And that's the same for all of us. That's our market. So this is the time where we have to position ourselves. Okay. I run a room every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on Clubhouse called Help, I'm in Clubhouse Now What? Right? Because it doesn't matter how long you've been there, when your marketing strategy that you were using in December 2019 is not going to help you now in 2021. The world's changed. It's not going back. And we know this. We know this. So feel free to come along to that room, bring your questions, your queries. You want to know anything about moderating? You know, I'm a pretty good moderator if I say so myself. But, you know, definitely start thinking about how you're going to get your message out there, how you're going to start amplifying your brand in a way that not only makes you memorable, but it also makes you really credible. Remember, as I said, impact is your currency.
Mm. Yeah.
Currently, the Clubhouse stock is surging, according to the Financial Times. The only problem is it's the wrong Clubhouse. People are mistakenly thinking that a scientific research company is the Clubhouse you're talking about and are buying shares in it.
But having said that, the Financial Times have written 2 really good articles about Clubhouse recently. Really good articles. You know, it has literally caught everyone's imagination, because remember, there is no direct messaging, there's no feed, nothing is recorded in terms of, you know, once it's gone, it's gone. But yet still, it's taken the social media world by storm. I mean, it has been a perfect environment to launch such an app, you know, considering the whole world has practically been cut off from human, you know, contact for the past year or so.
The 14 people that have been in touch with me have all been speakers that I've used over the years, all centered around speakers. And I thought, hang on a minute, what's going on? This seems crazy.
And this is it. I mean, just literally off the top of my head that I can remember, and I can't remember it all because it's all just gone so quickly. I've shared stages with Dame Kelly Holmes. You know, I've had her call me up, and I'm like, huh? You know, I didn't know her before Clubhouse. One of the rooms that I host 3 times a week, which is called the Real Life Club, on it's a bit like a breakfast show, Monday, Wednesday and Friday mornings. My co-host on that show is a lady called Sam Adams. Never heard of her, didn't know her before Clubhouse. We met on Clubhouse. We were both in rooms together. We always seemed to be, you know, on the same side of opinion. So she asked me to be her co-host. It's one of the most popular rooms on Clubhouse at that time in the morning. Now we have an absolute ball, but also through that, I mean, if it weren't for Woon, I wouldn't even know who he was. But there's a guy that I met on there who's an American guy who I just really clicked with, and every time he came into one of my rooms, he would always be, oh, Gail, this is really great to be here. And every time I went into his rooms, he would say to everyone, oh, you gotta follow Gail Edwards. And then Woon came into the room one day and he said, Gail, do you know who that is? I'm like, no, it's Cliff. Turns out that he's the godfather of podcasting. He's coached and mentored and trained all these greats from many, many years ago. In fact, Woon was one of his early converts even. So, and I had no idea. And that's exactly what happens on Clubhouse. You've got no idea who you're speaking to. You know, I've spoken to celebrities and shared stages. I've had them contact me. I've signed more NDAs in the past 5 weeks than I ever have in the past 20 years. You know, and that has all come from Clubhouse.
And you've got business then?
Pardon?
Have you got business from it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Right. But that's what I train people to do, to use Clubhouse for business so they can leverage it, because there's no point being on there, you know, especially in long periods of time, because whilst you're on there, you're not doing anything else. So, you know, you've got to know how to position yourself and market yourself on there so that you are actually winning business.
Yeah, so Peter, this is more like a live event app, if you can imagine that.
A live event app.
Yeah, so imagine having this Zoom call without the screen.
Yeah.
And it's not being recorded.
That's called a telephone conference, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But basically, that's exactly what it is. It's a telephone conference, but you've got everyone's picture in front of you, and you can click their face and read their profiles, go through to their Instagram or their Twitter, and you know, I have a facility where people can book themselves into my diary. So they literally go onto my Instagram bio through Clubhouse and they book themselves in. And literally every morning I look at who's booked into my diary for the day. And sometimes I'm like, what? No. And I have to go and do a check, like, really? Yeah. And it's amazing. So I'm on a real mission and a quest to literally get everybody I know who is really interested in building a strong personal brand onto Clubhouse and using it in the most effective way possible. It's also one of the kindest social medias out there. It's not the Wild West of Twitter or Facebook. You know, they're very, very, very focused on their integrity. And that, you know, and that's why I run that room every Saturday, so that the people that do come into Clubhouse that are new, you know, that they know that there is a code of conduct. It is not the Wild West of Twitter or Facebook.
Thank you very, very much, Gail. Thank you. That's been absolutely wonderful. I think we've learned an awful lot this evening, every one of us, and I think we're going to go away and write a statement. I think, yes, Peter has been very lucky, and I think Elmira very lucky because you've helped them do it. But it's been, yes, I've got these 4 pieces of paper and I'm going to work at mine. So thank you very, very much.
Very welcome.
It's been very, very interesting talk. We've really enjoyed it. So can we just we'll say thank you very much to Gail. That's
thank
fantastic.
you.
Thank you.
Gail, can you send me your contact details, please?
By all means, you know, my contact details are very easy to remember. I'll just put them in here. And
what I'll do actually, Gail, is I can send an email out to everybody and include your contact details on that email. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
So make it easy for everybody so that if they want to contact you, they can do so directly.
Absolutely.
Okay. Right. So now we've got about 10 minutes left, and so I'm just going to pass you over to Luca, who's going to talk about a little bit about what you're going to talk about next time, which is going to be cryptocurrency. So if I let you take over.
Yes, I mean, next time, both Peter and I will talk about cryptocurrency, especially because, you know, it's something that it's on everybody's newsreel at the moment. You know, it's going from a niche like geeky subject to the, you know, to everybody's newspaper and on the news channels. Now, if you rely on what is said on the news, you could listen to it for about 2 years and you still wouldn't know anything more than what you do now, because all they report is just like Bitcoin hit a new high, or the cryptocurrencies are crashing because they're going up 100% last week, but they're going down 25% this week. So all you hear about is is price action. But what you don't hear about is what these cryptocurrencies are, and why we are in this moment, and why they are so important right now. Because like it or not, we are in a very, very unique period in time in history, or actually I would say, which will change the way that we do things from now on. We are the only thing I can compare it to is to when the internet came about. Now, it took many, many years to have that base layer of the infrastructure, then allowed us, allowed the Google and the Amazon of this world to actually emerge, and then to just seep into everybody's life. Now, you couldn't you couldn't access many services if you don't have a computer, if you were not connected to the internet. And we are getting at that stage now with cryptos. Now, they're known as cryptocurrencies. Only a few of them are actually cryptocurrencies. Most of them are different kind of apps that do different things. And the different things that they can do are literally going to change the world. Now, we can hide and say, I don't understand technology, I don't understand cryptos, and pretend that, I'll leave it to somebody else because I don't understand this thing. Well, if you understand it or not, it's still going to change your world. So you might as well get understanding what they do now and how you can get involved in it, how you can benefit from it. Because at the moment, if you look at the product life of cryptos, we are still at a very, very early stage. So as you're hearing about this, you are at a very, very small minority of people that can know what this is all about. And we are still at the stage of early adopters. And just talking just this week, I don't know how many of you have ever heard the word Cardano or Charles Hoskinson. Probably nobody knows what they are. We're talking about the third biggest cryptocurrency in the world. Company is not even a company, it's a decentralized organization. It's worth more than $40 billion. Nobody knows what the creator is. Nobody knows what it does. What they have launched this week is something that will change the way that cryptocurrency is adopted throughout the world. And it will change the way that people access financial services throughout the world. I'm not talking about the UK or the US, but I'm talking about vast parts of Africa, in Asia. They are virtually unbanked. People don't have access to financial services, don't have access to identity services. They can't get a loan or a mortgage or even a bank account. All these people now are going to have access to all of that. People in Venezuela, they have their currency that goes like with inflation at thousands of percent a month, have now the possibility of saving and accessing the same interest rates that somebody in the United States or the UK can access. So it's kind of like a revolution from the bottom up that is really important to understand. What we're going to try to do next month is to talk about it in very simple language, but you can understand why we are at this very important moment in history. And if you want to get involved, how you can get involved, and also it's very important because we have now at the stage where the base has been set, and now the applications are going to appear on top of it. These applications are going to require content, and we can now make a difference in the things that really are close to our heart, because the way that the cryptocurrency works is in a decentralized way. So everybody has a voice, everybody has a vote, and we can all influence the world of tomorrow.
The introduction, thank you very much. So
and Roger's going down the track of setting up their own cryptocurrency as well within Genius U.
Well, with what's happened this week, Peter, you could start your own cryptocurrency tomorrow in about 10 minutes. And this is what I'm saying, the things that we don't hear about in the news. You could start a cryptocurrency, for example, for your group, if you wanted to. And it can be public, it can be private. And there are so many things that you can do with it. And this is what we're going to talk about in next month as well. We're going to talk about practical applications of these things that are already available now, but we don't know because they're in the back end. So we only see the front end. So we don't see what the technology that powers a lot of these innovations. You could do it. I mean, anybody now can start their own cryptocurrency if they wanted.
Yeah, I'm interested to find out how to issue currencies for content creators, so content creators can directly be paid by their or create some sort of membership for their audiences.
Okay.
And if you want to come and join us on a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, we have we're on Clubhouse.
Okay, I'll be there, I think. Oh no!
Is anybody able to invite me to join Clubhouse? I haven't joined it yet.
Have you got an iPhone, Peter?
Yes.
Yes, I'll send you an invite. I've got some invites.
Have you got one for me as well?
Sure.
Please.
Sure. I will need your telephone number, Myra.
Yes. Okay. Do you want me to give that to you now? Put it in the. I could put it in the chat. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
How many invites you got, Luca?
I think I've got 4 or 5 left.
Well, do you want to include me then? I'll go with you rather than these other people, seeing I like you.
Okay.
Smart move.
Okay, no problem. No problem. I'll write down your number, Myra, before.
Okay. Well, just save the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've
we
got
do, but
my
then I
number,
got to go
Luca,
and
haven't
find.
you?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay.
So watch
That's
this.
two people you like so far tonight, Peter. That's very impressive.
You're also included, Peter. Come on.
Oh, thank you. Most kind.
Okay, so I was going to say watch this space then. We'll be sending details out about that soon. And we come to the end of the evening, at the end of our meeting, and we'd like to say a big thank you to everybody who has come. We hope you've enjoyed it. We've most certainly enjoyed Gail's talk. So thank you very much, Gail. It's lovely just to be able to interact with people. I think we get a lot more out of that when we're all able to sort of like join in and ask questions, and we love conducting our meetings in that way. So thank you for making that happen as well. Thank you. So it leaves us to say we bid you good night, and thank you again for coming. We've really enjoyed the meeting, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Katerina and Luca. It's been brilliant.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you very much, Gail.
Bye.
Bye. Take care. Bye bye.